I take the L train from 14th to Canarsie Rockaway Parkway. By the time I reach Myrtle Wyckoff Avenue, usually the demographic change from is really diverse, and at the end it becomes African American and Latino predominantly.
I take the L train as well from 14th Street, Union Square to Canarsie Rockaway Parkway as well. And I also notice that the demographics changes once you hit Brooklyn. It starts to change, and it stays a little bit the same. And about 5 stops after Bedford, it really starts to change, and then after that, it's pretty much the same people on the train.
And what type of people?
It's usually people of color, mainly, especially like Shania said, at Myrtle Wyckoff. That's when you mainly see black and brown people.
So I take the L train from 3rd Avenue to Myrtle Wyckoff. And I can actually, when I transfer from the M train coming downstairs, most of the time I can actually tell which train I've missed, judging by the type of people that get off the L train. So I'll know if I've missed a Manhattan bound or if I've missed a Rockaway Parkway bound L train just by looking at the people coming up the escalator. And most of the time I'm right. But I will say, too, that from Bedford to Myrtle Wyckoff, it's very hipster, very white, very, yes. And then once you get to Halsey to Canarsie Rockaway, it's very Latino, African American.
So on a daily basis, I either take the A or the C train, depending on what train comes first. And when I take the C train, being as though it's the local train, normally when you get to the Upper West Side from 59th to 103rd Street, normally the patrons that get on and off the train are white, and then when you get further up, 116th to 168th Street, where I get off, is normally black and Latino persons that are getting on and off the train. The same goes for the A train, but because it doesn't make those local stops, the furthest that I see a white person get off or on the train is at 125th, and then from straight up there, it's all black and Latino.
Yes, so I live on the Q line. I'm from Brooklyn, I go to Manhattan. Well, I don't really commute anymore, but when I did, I remember, like, I went to this comedy show, and this comedian was like, you ever practice, like, racism for the benefit of getting a seat? Like, I'll go, like, I know I'm going to go uptown, and I know Canal Street's coming, so I'll, like, stand next to the Asian lady who's going to get up, probably. And then it doesn't work, and you're just like, man, I shouldn't have been racist. I thought that was hilarious, but also, like, I realized when he said that, like, I definitely done that before. Like, not only, like, I would do it in a way so that when I know, like, the people who might appear Russian, so, like, Coney Island's, like, the last stop, and there's a lot, not Coney Island, but Brighton Beach is one of the later stops, and there's a lot of folks that I know when I get off. So, like, if I'm coming from Coney Island, I'm like, okay, I'm not wearing, there's not any seats, I will sit down at some point. But yeah, it's really interesting to look at the ways in which people, like, where they get up and why, and, like, how to, like, why no one questions where folks get up, and, like, how communities are, like, not necessarily melting pots, but are, like, mosaics in ways.
So, I recently moved to New York from San Francisco, and so I didn't realize it at the time, but in San Francisco, there's actually a lot less diversity than it is in New York. Like, there's almost no black people that you find in San Francisco on the subway or anywhere. And here in New York, of course, there's a lot more of them, and I see them on the subway every day. And when I go from Chase Street to 14th Street in Manhattan, there's all kinds of people on the train, and I think that's very nice that there's this diversity here that I wasn't in San Francisco. So I take Muni from 4th and King, and usually I don't take it much further than downtown, and that's just that doesn't go really through any diverse neighborhoods. But if I were to go further out, maybe into the Sunset or into down 3rd Street, that would probably be different. But as it is, there's not a lot of diversity on the train that I see in San Francisco.
We moved to Washington Heights, and I did notice that on the A or C train, when you get on, it's pretty diverse when you start off in Brooklyn. But as you go up higher, it stays diverse until you get to about 125th Street, and then when you're going through 125th Street to I think Wall Street, it pretty much becomes predominantly African American, and then with a few Latinos and a few whites and a few Asians, very few Asians, and then after 160th Street, you can actually see some people getting on, getting off, and it becomes a little bit more diverse again.